their life. The truth is that poor people are poor for a reason. Rich people are rich for a reason. And if you give a poor person, and there's actually been a movie made, a very sad documentary made. If you give somebody who's destined to be poor any amount of money, it's just a matter of time before they're poor again.
And the only reason why they're destined to be poor, what they're in right now, their poverty that they're in right now, isn't who they are. It's the culmination of decisions they made in the past that is right now. But if they decide that this isn't what they are, and they decide, okay, from here on out, I'm not going to be poor. I'm not going to have a poor state of mind. I'm going to get rid of that stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking.
And
I like it.
And move
Never heard that before.
Move towards a different direction. You won't be poor. Poor is in the past. That's what led you up to this.
Right.
The future can be something different.
And everybody makes it sound like those people that have really truly were poor in the beginning and then blew up and became multimillionaires were just completely lucky, and that not everybody has the opportunity to be lucky like that.
And
it's just not true.
Right, and the stories are never laid out on the news, in the media. They just show a poor guy, and then 25 years later, he's wealthy. Look at this. He just held out for 25 years and won the lottery. No, look at all the turmoil, the angst, the fighting through it all the decisions that were bad, learned from, created, made a different one.
Right, and you look at Trump, and he started off with way less money, way less money than he has now, and that
a fraction. I would say a fraction.
Yeah. So that he was not given. Was it $10 billion is what they say he's worth?
Yeah, no, negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I don't even think he was given $1 billion.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's one thing to 10 times your wealth.
He said he got a loan. The report was he got a loan from his dad for $1 million.
Let's say he didn't get a loan. Let's say he just came up with a duffel bag.
And
Does it make a difference?
Say, son, here's $10 million, duffel bag. I'm going to roll it underneath your feet. Enjoy yourself.
Either $10 billion is 1,000 times more than $10 million.
Right.
1,000. Imagine taking whatever your starting capital is. It could be $1,000. It could be 10,000, or maybe even $1 million, and multiplying that by 1,000. I mean, that's pretty successful.
So if you think about it, he's turned that money and increased it by 1,000%.
What is that noise?
Oh, we've got an infestation.
Oh, I thought that there was like a loose connection or something like that.
No, we've got an infestation here in the
loose connection came from the rats gnawing away at the cords.
So yeah, you can't. The best thing to do if you're out there, you're a young listener, and you want to have the wealth, you want to have the riches. The first thing you do is read a book called Think and Grow Rich. Second thing you do is start to surround yourself with like-minded people who are wealthy. Find out how they made their wealth and be prepared, as AC/DC would put it. It's a long way to the top
if you want to rock and roll. Yeah.
It is. Can you look at those bands? Listen to all their stories throughout the decades. Could you imagine sitting down with the Rolling Stones?
Oh,
and still being together?
Well, and there's also, this is a huge misconception too. A lot of people think that once you start a business, you're wealthy. But it takes probably a couple decades of being very poor, completely impoverished. And then at that point, after maybe 10, 20 years or more of just hacking away at it, you end up with a company that's built into something pretty big.
And we've known entrepreneurs, and we know one close to your side of the family that has a landscaping company that has spent, what has he spent? A lifetime in building his landscape.
Yeah, since like the mid-70s.
Is he a multi-$10 million heir?
No, but he hasn't really pushed to be that big. In fact, he got to a point where he was like, this is where I want to be, and he stayed there. However, I think the first 10 years he did it, he was working out of his parents' house.
Well, that's huge.
Who just by,
So they gave it to him.
Well,
they probably let him live there for free.
He may have had a little bit of an unfair advantage because his dad had enough land to actually have a very small private nursery.
Oh, and he probably stayed on his parents' health insurance until he was 26.
Well, I don't know if they allowed it back then, but
Now, I'm making a point.
But in the off season, he would go to Cincinnati State, which was called CTC back then, and he would take these courses on things that he could learn how to do, so he didn't have to hire people to do it for him. He had to learn welding and painting, like auto painting. He took a course on that, so he could literally, like his truck, he paints it himself.
And use it as an advertising.
Well, he doesn't paint the advertising, but like the bed of it, he repaints it when it gets all chipped up and stuff. And it's not just going up to it with a spray paint can. It's literally auto painting, so it's professionally
So I guess
done.
my whole point is that the road to success, the road to millionaireism, you've got to understand it's a journey, and if you don't enjoy the journey and understand that the now that you're living in right now, enjoy the moment right now as you're traveling up that way, you may get there and you may be absolutely miserable, or you may get halfway there and say, you know what? This is about pretty good for me. I mean, I got, $4 million in the bank. I got this guy who takes care of my money for me, and I'm drawing in, $110,000 on interest just alone on my money. I could travel the world, never worry about another dime, and nobody will ever know your name. I mean, you won't be written about in magazines and newspapers and not running for president.
Everybody wants to be famous. That's the problem.
Why is it that my 6-year-old daughter, she's 8 now, when she was 6 and 7, said, I want to be famous. I said, okay.
My daughter is kind of into that too.
Let me sit you down here. Let me tell you about fame. It's fake. It's all a lie. It's all this whole thing that they paint for you to make you think that they'll all love you.
When you're famous, that every single person who knows you just loves you so much.
And what really happens when you're famous, what really happens?
You get a lot of hate.
All the haters come out. Everybody that hates.
Even if a majority of people like you, the number of people that hate you will always outnumber the number of people that hate you if you weren't famous.
Right.
and the hatred towards you be irrational. We kind of got off on a tangent there.
Well, just like one more example. It's like Pete Rose. Break the all-time hit record. The 4,192 plus.
Yeah, plus he stayed on for another couple hundred.
Right, base hits. I was trying to look up the number of strikeouts, but the number of strikeouts that he had?
Well, he only
tens of thousands. There were thousands of strikeouts. Way more.
So your batting average is based on the number of hits you get divided by the number of times you're at bat.
Right.
So either you strike out or you pop fly out, or you get tagged out at the base or whatever at first base. So if you make it on base, which would be a hit or a walk, actually the walks don't even count towards it. If you make it on base more than a third of the time, that's great. That's a great batting average. So if he made 4,000 plus hits, that means that he struck out or got tagged out or he got pop flied out on, that would be 8,000 times.
Yeah, it's
got to be at least 8,000, maybe as much as 10,000.
14,000 at bats.
Okay, and 4,000 of those
base hit.
So almost 10,000 of them, like 9,000 of them plus, were outs.
Right. Oh, he appeared at the plate 16,000 times.
So some of them were walks.
Right.
He may have gotten walked a lot towards the end of his career when they don't want it, or even in the middle of the prime of his career, they don't want him to hit anything.
Right.
So they just walk him.
So, but my whole point to that whole thing is he's absolute. Not only is he famous, but he will probably hold this record for decades to come.
Certainly.
Like, there's nobody even close to it anymore, and the game is completely changed now.
He's very famous, and a lot of people love him.
Correct.
But he has a lot of
haters.
Big time.
He has so many haters that he has to actually come out with commercials making fun of himself, too.
Yeah.
Which is fine, whatever. But here's the point. He's famous, but all the failure that he had to do to get the success, most people can't handle that mentally. So if you want fame, be prepared. Massive amounts of failure.
Right. Certainly.
The whole thing with the capitalism, getting famous. I'm done with the Pope. The Pope should leave capitalism to America and not come to America and hate.
Well, let me back up just in case the audience doesn't know. Everybody knows the Pope is a pro-communist person.
Right. And they led us all to believe when he was being, when he first got put in, this is the most conservative Pope they've ever had.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Well, of course it is now.
He might be pious, which, by the way, do you know where that word pious comes from?
Where does that come from?
There was a Pope called Pope Pius.
Oh.
And he was so strict on all of it. Wow. Like, he would go off on you if you weren't like a perfect Christian. Like, you couldn't ever sin or else you were bad, and he would yell at you. And so the word pious, if you're one of those people that's overly righteous,
right,
then that's where that word pious comes from.
Wait, okay,
just FYI.
Okay, well apparently,
but he may be pious, but that doesn't mean he's not a communist.
Right. Okay.
So that might be what. But to say he's conservative, that doesn't make any. Never mind.
No, he's not. But the media wanted to portray him that way, and say, so all of you,
all because he's a little bit outspoken on his pro-life, which is great.
Right.
And by the way, Brian and I had a conversation earlier in the week about his pro-life stance. He says something that every single pro-life person that I've ever ran into online or in person is afraid to say. And that is, and I'm really, really proud that this Pope has the courage to say this, that he comes out loud and clear without any hesitation that abortion is wrong no matter what, including to save the life of another. And he even expanded on that by saying that to kill somebody to save another is what the mafia does. And we're not the mafia.
No.
And so we don't kill to save the life of another.
No, of course not. So and the reason why I bring this back up about the Pope, this is really, we're at a crossing now. We've come through that figure 8, and I think we're all a little damaged as we crossed through it.
We probably got T-boned.
We're at that point to where it is absolutely crystal clear. Capitalism is head-on confronting and being confronted by communism. And we've got a whole section of people that don't use the word communism anymore, but they use other words, that are trying to get and push that agenda to control the situation, to bring that capitalism, bring that and get rid of that. Take that away from America. They don't deserve it. Well, not that they don't deserve it. They don't deserve what they have because capitalism stole it from the world. It's their whole idea. So when the Pope, who's an international icon, if you will, by the media, by everyone else, when he goes to the Mexican border, and this article was written by published in Breitbart, written by Ben Shapiro, who you got to follow him. He's incredible. He writes, Pope Francis, apparently desperate to reach out to Catholic Church's growing base in Latin America, spent the day slapping Americans in the face from across the U.S.-Mexican
That's a long arm.
I'm going to mispronounce this, but in Ciudad Juarez, one of the most violent cities